Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's that Misplay here, and today I have a Constellar deck profile. Now, I've been working on this deck since about the new year, and I've built everything in real life after constant testing on places like Dueling Network and DevPro, and it turned out to be really a good deck. I played this at locals, and I came out. I believe it was fourth place in the competitive tournament. So I hope that's a good standing on how much you should take this deck with a grain of salt. Going into the deck profile, you start off with the basic, excuse me, 3 Constellar Cross. Cross is your main card to get into rank 5 exceeds as well as 3, but you're rarely ever going to go into those plays. And toss is just good. You need to run 3. It's a no-brainer. Next up, you have your 1 card exceed. You have your 3 Constellar Sombre. What you do is you banish a Constellar from your graveyard and add 1 to hand. And by doing so, you have the condition where you have an extra normal summon. So it's just great for getting into your exceeds, as well as it can be a 1 card Palladius near 100% of the time, which is just too good in this deck. Next up, we have your 3 Constellar Pollux. Pollux is good because it can't be a Veiler or Maxi target, and again is great for getting into your exceed plays, which this whole deck is about. Then we have 3 Elgidi. You need 3. I don't understand why people may play 1, not at all, or maybe 2, because you need consistency in this deck. It's a big challenge for this deck, and it's just like Pollux, and the only reason why people don't play it at 3 some of the time is because it's a Veiler and a Maxi target, but you can still go off even if it's dead on the board and you can't go through making into your Exceeds plays. So you need to run 3. And lastly, for the Constellar lineup, something that most people will disagree with is I play 3 Sheraton. Now let me explain this card. It is a level 3 Stratos with 700 attack and 1900 defense. When you normal summon it, not special summon, normal summon, you get to search any card, which most of the time late game is a Sombre, and it can lead to some nasty plays. Also, just because this is a level 3 does not mean it's useless. Sometimes you can get 2 of them on the board, overlay, and go into a card like Zenmayo, as well as you can take a Koss, bump up its level, and then overlay into any of your rank 4s. So it is a very good card. You keep good hand advantage, and it's really key. And one thing that gives me a hand over other Constellar players is I always have consistency over them. Next up, for the 1-ofs, we play 1 Thunder King. Thunder King is something that I wasn't originally playing just because it hurts this deck immensely, not being able to search out and get your combo pieces. But some guy at locals explained to me that this card is way too good not to play because you just summon it first turn, set like 3 or 4 back row, and you say go, and you just laugh because it is so hard to overtake. Especially because a lot of these current meta decks do search, and you can just go off after this is destroyed, or you use it to take out a special summon monster. Honest, not much to say. It wins games. You never draw into it, but when you do, it is too good. Then there's this 1 tech Brotherhood of the Firefist Bear. Bear is good because it gets rid of your dead tankies, as well as it can be a searchable out to most things. So it's good at 1. I don't recommend playing anymore. I don't recommend playing other Constellar players how they like play a Gorilla or something like that. It's just you gotta play the 1 Bear. I never in my time of testing took it out. Next up, we have 3 Fire Formation Tanky. Tanky's good because it makes it so you have 6 copies of Toss in the deck, which you need to because first turn Palladius is way too good not to have. So I'm glad it's back at 3. It's also abusable with Pleiades, because once you make your Pleiades, here, let me describe how to Pleiades. So once you make your Pleiades, and you have a tanky that you use to search your cost to make it, you just detach, grab it to hand, and then next turn you play it, and you can go, if you have the extra combo piece, you can immediately go into another rank 5. Next up is 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. Not much to say, it's just the meta calls for it right now, and you just need to run 3. I don't really like it, but it's necessary. Next up, I don't play 2, but I play 3 lands. 3 lands is because I was always playing it at 2, and I recently decided to bump it up to 3, and it is just amazing, because I always had my combo pieces in hand through all the consistency cards that I play, and I am like, well, I can't really protect it if I run to any back row, and Lance just solves that problem. As well as it has the battle application, which could be the difference of your monster staying in the board or not. And then we play 2 Duality. Yes, it is at 3, but I only play 2 because I took it out for the 3rd Sheraton, because it's a better card for searching out. You can search any of your Constellar monsters. You don't have to deal with what you reveal, and it doesn't allow you to go into your special summon Exceed plays. So it's not that good, but it's still great to play it too for consistency. Then you have the 1 Rhoda, because it's like you're playing 4 copies of Pollux, too good. The 1 Dark Hole. I know some players this format aren't playing Dark Hole, but I play it for the reason being that this deck sometimes can get swarmed, and you just want an out to all those big monsters on the board, because you can't bounce back everything with Pleiades. So, I do recommend Dark Hole in this variant, and you do have the Lances and you do have Omega to protect your monsters. Going to the trap lineup, we have 1, 2, 3 Chain. I play Chain over Effect Veiler in Constellar decks, just because Chain is abusable with Pleiades, because if somehow the monster that you chained, Phoenix Chained, leaves the board and isn't destroyed, you can detach, bring it to your hand, set it, and reuse it the next turn, which is a very good card, and I like playing it over Effect Veiler. Then we have 2 Safe Zones. I like Safe Zone. I'm a little bit on the fence about it, just because it's great when it when it's right when you have it when you want it, but it's also sometimes a dead card. I'll explain a few things about it, because I was having some trouble with it. Safe Zone, you have to target your monster you want to Safe Zone before another card targets it. Otherwise, it's just like the ruling with Threatening Roar, where if you already attacked, you can't say no attacking with Threatening Roar. So it's not all too good like Lance's in that aspect. But it's still good for 2 other reasons. Is you set them, they chain an MST to it, and then you flip it face up to one of their monsters, and then as it falls, you chain by targeting one of their monsters. When it goes to the graveyard, they're bringing their monster down by just the stupid fact of blind MSTing. And when it's attached to your monster, it's just extra protection. And the one last thing is, yes, I play it because it is abusable by Pleiades. Reason being is, you have a Pleiades, you target one of their monsters, it's the same thing with the MST, you bring it to hand, and then by that you just destroy their monster instead of sending it to hand, and then you can reset it, and then have it again for your use on Pleiades. Next up, we play 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential Tribute, 1 Black Horn Heaven, and 1 Solemn Warning. I am struggling a little bit with the trap lineup for this deck, just because there are so many cards I want to play. Just like another copy of Mirror Force, another copy of Heaven, Compulse, and Bottomless, as well as a copy of Book of Moon. But I'm not playing these cards for a few reasons. Compulse is just because this whole deck is a Compulse. You don't really need an extra copy. Bottomless, I don't play because Blackhorn Heaven is much better. 2 copies of Mirror Force, I like it, but I don't really have enough room, and it's not too good in some aspects. Book of Moon, I just can't find room. Now going into the reasoning is same for Mirror Force, and Torrential Tribute is the same as Dark Hole, in the sense that when your opponent is overwhelming you, you can flip one of these up, protect your monsters, and have them all fall. And Blackhorn Heaven and Solemn Warning is just when you have something like a Black Rose coming onto the field, or a card you really just don't want, you can Blackhorn Heaven it, or you can Solemn Warning it. Both very good cards. Of course, Solemn Warning is better, but it's only at 1, and I like to play 2. As well as it has an increase in popularity in this format, just because there is a decreasing amount of good traps. Going into the extra deck, we play 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7. For all those who didn't know, it is pronounced Ptolemy. The P is silent. Ptolemy is just good if you have a spare Constellar with no materials attached on the board. It's a boost. Usually when you summon into it, you have to wait a turn. Of course, you have to wait a turn to use its effect to at least bounce a card on the field, or add something like add a Sombre to hand from the graveyard. But usually it does get things like Solemn Warning, Bottomless, Effect Veiled, so usually doesn't last too long, so I'm kind of on the fence about it. You should play it. You should play it at 1. It's at 3, but don't play more than that. Next up, we have 2 Pleiades. Pleiades is good because it is a Compulse. It can have these crazy combos. You bounce your Tankies, you bounce your Sheratons, you bounce your Fiendish Chains. It is too good not to run at 1. You can recycle them with Sombres or Ptolemy, but you rarely will go into more than 2, and I've never needed or wanted more of them. That's why I play 2, not 1, not 3. It's the perfect number. 1 Omega, some people like to play 2. Not enough room. I only ever go into maybe once per game. It does suck if it gets Solemn Warning, but hey, it is good for just going into a real big push and not have to worry about any sort of back row, and the ulti is pretty cool. 1 Constellar Proxy, because a thing this deck has trouble with is because cards that can't be targeted by card effects, this can usually get over it, because when you detach, it's a 3400 beater, and it can usually just run over those cards without any problem. Going into the non-Constellar lineup, we play the 1 Die Dragon for the Volcasaurus plays. Volcasaurus is a very good card because it allows you to deal massive damage, and it wins games. It's just way too good because you destroy their monster, inflict a ton of damage, overlay, attack directly, and that's usually most of the time over 5,000 damage. Going into other rank 5s, we play 1 Zenmaiho. I don't see a lot of people playing Zenmaiho, but Zenmaiho is very good because when they're trying to hide from you or going second, this is a better option than Pleiades, because you just destroy say they have a 2 set cards. This can destroy monsters and spells and traps. Just they need to be set, and you activate its effect, and you just get rid of it, clear the field, unless they are responsive. And it's good for second turn plays. I play one Shark Fortress. I play this just for the reason being, I do not have a tier seat next. I like Shark Fortress, yet I see tiers being more useful. Yet I never go into it, even though I play with it online. Shark Fortress is a really good card because you can OTK. I will actually show you that OTK. So, if you have, say, a dead Pleiades on board, this can be Constellar, any Constellar monster, and you have the ability to go into a rank 5. What you do is you go into Shark Fortress, and then you overlay into Ptolemy. Shark Fortress's effect can attack twice, and then you overlay Shark Fortress into Die Dragon, and Die Dragon allows you to, plus Ptolemy allows you to deal exactly 8,000 damage. That's a cool trick if you will consider playing Shark Fortress in your build. Then for rank 4s, we play the one sexy and amazing number 101 Silent Honor Arc. Beautiful ulti, by the way. I am very happy to be able to pick this up. This is great because in some cases this is better than Starleech Paladynamo because you just want to suck up those monsters and deal with problem cards. And you can't always go into your rank 5s because you don't always have your costs. That is true. I play the one Starleech just because we have lights. It's an effect failure. You go +1 when it destroys. So it really just pays for its own materials and making. And it can run over anything if you use its effect on it. Then going to stable cards, we have one Diamond Dire, just because I don't have the money to afford a, an Exciton Knight. So if you have an Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, or you're playing it online, I do recommend to play it over Diamond Dire. And then we have the one Abyss Dweller, shuts down those decks that revolve around the grave, one Dino Cowboy, just because it steals games, burn 800, I win, and it's just good. Then one rank 3 we play Zen mains, just because if you need to go defensive with costs, you can go into these and just sit on it for a while where you get drawn to more of your resources, as well as it's good if you have 2 Sheratons and you just overlay for no real reason. You already got your cards out of it, and it's just for ticks, and it does help. I'm going to show an extra deck. Side decks, just because I know some people like to see opinions on what cards I like to play for what reasons, and I don't know. Don't only take this with a grain of salt because this is for your own meta and your own locals. 2 DNA surgery. I may bump this up to 3 because Proxy is a big problem with this deck. Because it's like, what do you pop with Pleiades? You can't really return anything crucial at hand. They'll just resummon and move on with their day. So I may bump this up to 3. I do not have a 3rd copy yet. A card that I like to play overworked for Fire Fist is Malevolent Catastrophe. Yes, you can play overworked, and I do play the 1 copy for Fire Fist because you can just wipe their monster count. But really, what hurts the deck more is Malevolent Catastrophe, because when they just recklessly attack into it, they just lose all their spells and their traps that make them so powerful, and then they're just left with a dead bear on the field. It's like, what do you do? So I like the 2 Catastrophe and the 1 overworked. Next up, 2 Iron Wall. Anything that revolves around banishing, whether that be Bujins or something rogue like Gem Knights. It's a very good card. And then we play the one Soul Drain for Mermail. Anything that revolves around the graveyard. You have the Macro and your Defissure. All three really good cards. Then I side the 2 Maxi. I don't main these because they're not as relevant, but you do got to deal with Heretic Rulers every once in a while. So I do run 2 Maxi. And the next up for the Gear territory, or the Gear, even if they go into what's it called, Dracosax often, it isn't a bad card because Dracosax and their tokens are a machine. I side the 2 Cyber Dragon and the 1 Fortress, just because you special summon, call Fortress, and it just wipes their field. Extra damage. That is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please leave some feedback on this deck, especially telling me what traps I should run, because I am struggling with that. I have limited space. I just want to run the most effective thing, and I'd like to hear thoughts on that. As well as please like and subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more content. And another thing for you guys to answer questions on is I'm happy to do a lot of in real life deck profiles and discussions, but I don't always have access to the cards, so I can't proxy out a whole entire deck for you guys if you want to see it, over just reviewing it on a place like Dueling Network. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that. I can proxy things out, and I believe it'll be a better option than going online. Once again, thank you all for watching, and that misplay out.